Hello there, and welcome to Gardening with Calyx. It may appear as if I'm in the jungle, or maybe even at a botanical gardens, but no. I brought 3 of our Coelogyne plants so that you can see how splendid they can be. Not just splendid in the number of blooms, but look at the size of these plants. I mean, I cannot span this one. I think this is about 5 feet wide. How did we get such large, beautiful, unique-looking orchids in a relatively short period of time? Keep watching and I'll tell you how. A happy, pleasant welcome to all of viewers into our Calyx garden. It's a bit overcast today, but nevertheless, we are going to get going. We did a video on the planting, the propagation and planting of Coelogyne about 2 years ago. For those of you who may not have seen the video, I'll make it easy on you. We'll put a link to it, yes, but I'll make it easy for you to follow this video by giving you a brief recap on the essential aspects such as the selection of the planting material, as well as the containers, how we modify the containers, and the various aspects of the potting and the planting. But for this video, I'm going to be concentrating on the care that we give Coelogyne, and not an easy word to pronounce, especially since it is spelled so differently from how it is pronounced. You get my meaning. But we will concentrate on the results that we obtained, first at 1 year and now at 2 years. So let's proceed with the recap, then move on to the flowering phase. We started with large, healthy sections consisting of 3 or 4 pseudobulbs. And in the video, you would have seen how difficult it was to separate these pseudobulbs. Since we wanted large display plants, we selected these 12-inch plant pots. We had to make a few adjustments to transform them into hanging pots fit for orchids. The 2 main adjustments we made were to place holes in the sides of the pots to improve airflow to the roots, and we installed these chains to allow us to hang them. The next aspect, preparing an appropriate potting media, and like most orchids, Coelogyne prefers a free-draining, soilless media, that is, no soil. We layered equal parts of peanut shells and coarse river sand plus compost into the pots and added large pieces of cocoa fiber on top to anchor the pseudobulbs. The newly potted plants, they looked wonderful. Wouldn't you agree? We hung the plants on these small trees where they receive dappled light throughout the day. In addition to the dappled light, they also benefited from regular rains, medium to high levels of humidity, and our mild subtropical temperatures. In terms of routine care over the 2-year period, we watered on average, I would say, once a week during the dry seasons. No watering during the rainy season, of course. For fertilizer, we took the easy way out by applying a slow-release balanced NPK fertilizer every 10 to 12 weeks, and they seem to have worked fine. Pests were minimal. We observed a mild infestation of spider mites and thrips. Definitely nothing at the level that would require our intervention, so we allowed nature to maintain its own natural balance. 2 of the 3 plants started blooming within the first year. This is a close-up of the plant that is blooming. It's now a rather mature plant. When we propagated it, these are the 2 pseudobulbs that I had left. And all of these are new pseudobulbs that developed since we propagated. Quite a few. And they're nice and well filled out, so the moisture content is optimal. Here is demonstrated quite clearly. Here you can see a young shoot. This is a leaf-bearing pseudobulb. Okay, this is a younger shoot. and see how fresh and green and glossy the leaves are. Pretty nice. So this plant already in 1 year, I would think it's almost exhausted the space in this pot. In about a year I will have to pot it up, and that's how you get a lot more of these wonderful plants. The third one is still hanging in the tree because it has not put out any blooming shoots as yet. The pseudobulbs are all healthy, and I think it's just a matter of time. Fast forward 1 year and all 3 plants are really impressive. This one in particular is huge. I think I'm looking at more than 20 pseudobulbs with their leaves, but this is what makes it so impressive. You can't help but admire it. It makes you feel like you are in the jungle. Nice, sturdy, green leaves, very stately. Well, I did learn my lesson there, didn't I? Careful, make sure that the pot is not as rigid as this, because you will have to pot if you want to keep this splendid specimen looking as dramatic as it now does. And at this time, end of September, it is not blooming. It did bloom earlier, I think in March, but gave us about 4 blooms. But I remember when my sister came and visited and saw it, she was most impressed by the leaves, just by the splendor and the lushness of this plant. So it's not just about the flowers. This one is blooming now in September, which it is not as spread out as the previous one, but it has just as many, almost as many pseudobulbs. It too will be impossible to take out of this pot without splitting the pot. And I saved this dramatic one. I say dramatic because almost every pseudobulb has put on blooms, and we're getting very quickly to the stage of them blooming off. And if you're wondering how long this beautiful display lasted, let me show you. Here we have the plant, and you can see that there are young spikes, 8 of them, just ready to burst into bloom. That was September 15. By September 23, 8 days later, we can see that the original 8 spikes are in full bloom. They're just wonderful, aren't they? Plus, there are 2 additional young spikes waiting their turn. But by October 2nd, which is a good 23 days, I think, the original 8 spikes have all bloomed out, and the youngest spikes are still blooming. So we enjoyed the floral display for about 3 weeks, which really isn't too bad, is it? But it's time now to take them back to their original location so that they can continue going through their growth cycle. I think I'll wait a few months before potting them. By then it should be spring, and I'm very curious to see whether or not they'll be blooming in spring, which is their usual blooming period. So all in all, we enjoyed that really lovely display of flowers over a 3-week period. And of course, when all good things came to an end, it was time to return the Coelogynes to a nice location. Actually, the plants are getting much too heavy to be hung at this point. So I think we really have to look at splitting up the pots and expanding our collection. But until then, I'm going to hold off a bit on that because it is now end of October. We are expecting Coelogynes to start blooming in their natural period in spring. So we're going to wait and watch to see if it does that. So and we will bring that to you when we find out. So thanks for watching this video. We've come to the end of it. If you have found the information interesting, useful, share it with persons who you think would appreciate it, and leave us a comment or 2. Give us a thumbs up, and if you have not subscribed as yet, we're asking you really to take the time to do so. If not now, then sometime soon. Until the next video, I'm Thelma saying thanks for watching. We will see you in a couple of weeks' time. Take care. Bye-bye.